That's the beauty of all this. I didn't do any of it. You did. Think, Barry. Isn't there some little thing, some little good deed you might have done?
I saved someone.
Yes.
I saved her. I saved Mom.
That's right.
No. It wouldn't have changed all this. It wouldn't have changed what happened before her murder. Bruce's parents, Clark's Landing.
Oh, but it did. Break the sound barrier and there's a sonic boom. You broke the time barrier, Flash. Time boom. Ripples of distortion radiated out through that point of impact, shifting everything just a tiny bit. But enough. Enough for events to happen slightly differently.
I just wanted to save her.
Hello again and welcome to Film Discussion. This is the series where we look at a movie, a piece of film, we discuss it, talk about the characters, stuff I liked, some of the stuff that maybe bothered me. Just go into the deep delves and the dive into this shit and words like that into a film. And for today's video, this one I was really debating if I was going to do a movie like this or not. There are a lot of good animated movies out there. There are definitely a lot from Disney, a lot from Pixar, a lot from DreamWorks, a lot of these big name studios that I thought I would do. I was going to do one for Beauty and the Beast a while back. I was going to do one for Cinderella. I was going to do a lot of these movies. But I think today we had this announcement that we're going to be getting a new trailer for a Justice League movie. And I thought, I love this movie a lot. I love this comic a lot. Let's talk about a DC animated film. This isn't something I was planning on doing, but I thought, there are some good movies that DC has made, the good animated movies that DC has put out, and I was like, let's talk about one of my favorites. If not my favorite, I think the quintessential DC animated movie put out there. So today we're talking about Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. The 2013 action-adventure, the animated movie that Warner Brothers put out in their animated line of DC movies. And this by far is one of my favorites. And I think this really has to do as to why the animated movie is so good, is why the comic is so good. I think the comic book is a really well put together story, a really interesting piece of just literature to read. It takes characters we know, takes characters we love, and it puts them in a whole new situation, whole new world. And I think those are some of the best comic books out there. The ones where we know these characters, we know the stories, we know what happened to them before, but we see them in a new light. One of my favorite comics, Old Man Logan. Perfect because it sees our characters in an old world, one that Wolverine helped fashion, and it's such a unique piece of literature. Marvel 1602, another great example. Seeing all our characters that we know, we love, and they're in a new light, I think it's some of the best storytelling you can do because it takes the characters we know and established and it takes them to a new level, a new degree of character. Just an incredible new way of thinking. And much to the credit of Flashpoint Paradox, I'm going to give to Geoff Johns. The guy's a visionary, the guy's a genius. I love everything he did, and it's an incredible story. Go read the comic book. But today we're talking about the animated movie. This is not a long movie. It's, I think, an hour and 10 minutes, hour, 20 minutes, somewhere in there. It's a short movie, it's a great animated film, and it takes you on a journey with one of the most beloved characters in comic book history, The Flash. And this was DC's way, I think, to really reboot their world, to give us the New 52, to end things on a high note. Because after this, I think we had Justice League War as the next movie, then we had Throne of Atlantis, and this was their last one. We okay, before we change up the dynamics, let's release one of our really good animated movies. Let's base it off one of our greatest told stories out there. And it is a really good story. So the character Barry Allen, we know him, we love him. He's got a TV show out there. He's got a movie coming out, probably, who knows. But Barry Allen in this, you just can't help but feel sorry for Barry Allen. And there's a huge stigma with comic book heroes and even villains where the trauma has to do with their parents. And I think the way that the Flash as a character has handled the death of his mother has been portrayed well. And I think in Flashpoint, the whole story and everything about it makes perfect sense to me. We started off with like a flashback of him and his mom, and their car breaks down, and he's like, I can run, Mom. I'll go find us some help. And she's like, come on, Barry, you can't always run. Sometimes you have to deal with that. Then we go to another scene where he's standing at his mother's grave. I thought this scene was very impactful, very beautiful. We do see the scene in the movie where his mother is killed by someone who we later find out, Zoom, Professor Zoom, Eobard Thawne. But I think when he's standing in front of the grave of Iris and he realizes, I could have saved her if I was fast enough, it means something. It means something to him, and it means something to the audience. The character of Barry Allen, I think, is one of the most relatable members on the Justice League. Sure, Batman losing his parents, the whole hiding his facade in this dark array, there's definitely people like that. There's definitely people like that. But he's a billionaire. That's not relatable. Superman is relatable, I think. I think he is, but I think with the Flash, you understand, like, he's got a normal job. He's not hiding himself. He wants to do good. And more than anything, he wants his mother back. And that is a very relatable quality, I think, that makes sense. And so the whole event of Flashpoint is, I'm not going to get into the whole paradox thing, the whole, like, time travel thing, any of that shit. But he goes back in time and he saves his mother. So that's how the whole world changes. Barry Allen saves his mother. It's really interesting. It's really fun. And it's a big moment for the character, because he finally, after being the hero... Well, before he goes back to save his mom, we have this scene where he's fighting all of his known foes, and like there's Captain Cold, there's the Trickster, there's Captain Boomerang, there's Mirror Master, a bunch of these guys. There's Professor Zoom. I'm just going to call him Eobard. And he captures them all. He's got the Justice League. The bombs are going to go off. Then they're trapped to the Rogues Gallery. So, Justice League saves them. Ends all the problems. And this is a good display of how we see the power of a bunch of the Justice League too. We see Superman just put the bomb in between his palms so it will blow up inside. You see Aquaman, he's using the nanomites or whatever the hell it is in the ocean to eat away the wiring on it. You see Wonder Woman just throw it in the air after freezing it with the cold gun. And you see Batman just try to tinker with it while he's in space. And I think Cyborg does something too. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Cyborg does a thing too. But you see the Flash is there and he's talking to Eobard. And Eobard says, You're fast, Flash, but you're not fast enough to save the ones you love, not the ones that matter. And I think that is the stigma that the whole thing that just leads into the Flashpoint. He knows he misses his mother. He just saw his mother's grave. He wants to go meet his mother again. And so when he goes back in time, a big no-no, never go back in time. Saves his mom. This is where we get the events. He wakes up. Flash is a normal guy now. He's nothing special. He's just a real everyday average Samaritan cop, forensics guy. He's just a cop's forensic guy. So, but his mom's there. And if you're a kid who lost their mom at a young age and you go your whole life wanting to see them again, the moment Barry Allen sees his mom, I think is a really impactful moment. And it means a lot to the character, and it means a lot for everything we have going forward. And the world has changed so much, but it feels the same. So we see, Barry meets his mom, they're talking, and he doesn't understand what's happening, how she's alive, but he knows one person who will always help him, and that's Batman. But before Barry meets Batman, we have this wonderful shot where Batman is fighting Yo-Yo or something, and you see this Batman is broken, probably more so than Bruce Wayne. And yes, we all know, if you've seen the movie, you read the comic, I think at this point it's become pretty much public knowledge that Flashpoint Batman isn't Bruce Wayne, it's his father Thomas. Which is one of the greatest story-based choices I think they could have done for the Flashpoint. Because having Bruce Wayne always be Batman. Throughout every incarnation, the character always stays the same for Batman. If they do a different unique thing in the future, Bruce Wayne's always the same. They do a thing in the past, Bruce Wayne's always the same. But in the Flashpoint, Barry changed the table so much that Bruce died, and now Thomas Wayne, for some weird reason, is Batman. Why is he Bats? I don't know. It's probably that stupid Batcave thing. But, it really changes the story up a lot. And it makes it unique and flavorful that, we're not seeing Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is not in this movie until the end. Until we get, that end scene and the thing at the beginning. But the whole Batman in this story is Thomas Wayne. And it's unique, it's fun, it's a fresh take. And the moment that Barry finds out when he goes to the Batcave and he gets attacked, his finger is broken, it's brilliant, it's so fun. And it really shows you that they took liberties that they maybe wouldn't have. And Jeff Johns, he's like, we've seen Bruce, but what about somebody else? Who else could be Batman? We're not going to have Dick or Jason or what's the other guy, Damian or all that shit. No, we're just going to make it Thomas Wayne. He's older, he's gruff, he's been through more hell than probably any of the other characters in the movie, and I like that. And the whole background of this movie, the whole background, everything that's happening behind the scenes, there's this big war between Themyscira and Atlantis. And if you know anything about Wonder Woman as a character, and you know anything about Aquaman, there is definitely tension between the two of them. You can look at it as these two ways. Themyscira is this really elegant, classy, kind of tough, but they're brooding, but they're still women, they're powerful women in that, and I always seen Atlantis as kind of these barbaric soldiers who just want to fight and hurt people. And I'm not saying Themyscira isn't brooding or dangerous, but Atlantis is way more gruff, they're way more gritty, they're way more willing to injure and be violent, and Themyscira, they're like that too. The Amazons, they're definitely violent. But, they're going to fight each other. And this huge war is happening. Half the world, I think, Paris has sunk down. All this stuff is going on. People are dying. Things are being destroyed and broken. And because they're doing peace relations, there's peace relations between Themyscira and Atlantis. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, maybe they find getting a little romantic at an interesting part in their dynamic. Maybe a certain king of Atlantis is married to somebody already. Maybe not, but he is. He's married to Mura, and he's kind of trying to get down with Wonder Woman, do this kind of whoop-de-doop-de-doo thing. And Mara sees that, and she's pissed as hell, and goes to try to kill Wonder Woman, but she is unsuccessful. Two of my favorite comic book females in history. Mara and Wonder Woman. I love both these characters to death. And it's really sad for somebody who's a big fan of Mara to see her just get taken down like that. Because when you try to explain to people, Aquaman is badass, he's really cool, but his wife is even more badass. And they see this movie and she just struck down like that. It's a really hard stigma that it's really hard to get out of your system. But I get it. It makes sense for the story why she died. And then, Wonder Woman, she cuts her head off. What the hell? She cuts her head off. That's awesome. And just wears her crown in there, and that's how kind of things break out into violence between the two of them. Aquaman's pissed at Wonder Woman, and it's a thing. And it's a good background because it entangles the characters we've seen in the scenes before when they're working together and they're helping, and turns it on its head where they're fighting each other. It's brilliant. And it's something they did really good at the beginning is showing all the characters we've seen in the Justice League in their prime and putting them in new situations. Bruce is now Thomas. Aquaman's going to war with Wonder Woman. Flash remains the same, but he doesn't know what's happening in the world. And a beautiful thing is when he takes out the Flash ring and he's opening up to show Thomas, I'm the Flash, I'm a superhero, and out comes Eobard's suit. It's a great way to see that even in this constant change, Eobard is still trying to tell him, I'm still here. I know what you did, Flash. I know everything you're doing. I'm still the constant thing in your life to give you hell. And it's amazing. And every scene where you see Barry trying to become the Flash again with the lightning and that, it is hard to watch. I think he goes a couple times. You think the guy burned to death and he's on the verge of dying. He gets struck by lightning. He's covered in blisters and he's lost a lot of skin. It was hard even for a cartoon to see that. It was that's intense. That's crazy. Thomas does his best to help him. That thing's going down. But when he's almost dying and then they do it again and he oh man, they took a lot of liberties with the story in this, and it could have gone badly because this isn't going to be like a hard R rating for an animated movie. But they did a lot with blood, they did a lot with violence and death, and the way they handled Barry trying to get his powers back, I think was really good. And the choice to make Barry the lead in this movie, I think is a really good choice, because if you make Batman the lead, and I could see why Batman would be the lead in this. I could see why Bruce Wayne might be the lead, because he's a beloved character. We can always see him going through different timelines and doing different things. But with Flash, you got this kind of like innocent youthness to him, more than you see with a lot of the other characters. I'm not saying that they're all like big brooding like Ben Affleck guys, but no. They're calm, they're nice, they have this layer about them where their exterior is tough and their interior is not. The exterior of the Flash, he's soft, he's still a nice guy, he's lighthearted, he's charming. And to take him in a world where everybody he knows is killing each other and there's violence, it makes more sense than if you had Batman or Aquaman do it. You could have done it with Green Lantern. Yeah, you could have. I think Green Lantern would be the only other option you could do it with. But we have to see Flash figure this out, and Flash has a bigger loss. He lost his mom. That makes sense, and besides, he can change time and all that shit. So let's talk about Green Lantern really quick. Voiced beautifully by Nathan Fillion. I know there's always been a huge fan petition to get Nathan Fillion to actually be, Hal Jordan in any sort of form on screen. I don't think he can do it. I don't hate Nathan Fillion. I just don't think the guy's a really good actor. I like the stuff he's done before. I don't think he's like as good an actor as people give him credit for. He's good, but he's not the best. He's not really like great. And he's old. He's too old to do this. But his voice makes sense for Hal Jordan. And Hal Jordan in this world, he's still a pilot, and they discover the ship off the coast, and it's Abin Sur, and he's got to go pilot it because here comes a big threat that we haven't seen from Atlantis, a giant monster, and they're gonna attack the coast, and it's gonna be crazy. And here's Hal Jordan in this spaceship by Abin Sur, so he kind of does become a Green Lantern in a way. He's got the ship, but he goes in the ship, and it's a suicide mission. He knows he's gonna die, but he's going to save a lot of lives to do it. And I think they really portrayed the relationship between Green Lantern and Flash really good at the beginning of the movie to make you feel that even when Barry doesn't himself see the death, but he hears about it, it makes you be like, oh man, Hal Jordan died. Hal Jordan died in this world. Hal Jordan, and I think if they didn't have the scene at the beginning with all the Justice League, we wouldn't care. We know that Barry cared because he knew Hal in the other life, but seeing them at the beginning really makes us care about what's happening in the world. And there's a bunch of other characters in here that I haven't even talked about yet. Everything with Deathstroke, Lex Luthor, they have this one important scene where they're on this ship and Atlantis attacks them. I think that's a great way to set up a lot of the other side characters that we've seen in the DC universe come in there. You got Clayface, you got the Frost Kid, I don't know his damn name. But, and we see Black Manta, he's siding with Atlantis, which really surprised me. I would have liked to see him maybe side with Lex Luthor. I think that would be an interesting development. It was like a double agent kind of thing. And I think one of the other... Oh, and we got Lois Lane. Lois Lane, who's kind of in Paris still. She's running away, getting away from the Amazons. And Steve Trevor is too. Steve Trevor is getting away from the Amazons. There's a big thing between those two. Really cool thing happening. And, we got Cyborg, who is voiced by Michael B. Jordan. Really surprising. With that, I thought he would have been cast as Cyborg in the live-action movies. But it's okay if he's not. I get it. We got Ray Fisher, whoever that is. That's cool. Michael B. Jordan's a big name now. He's got better things to do than be in this silly Justice League movie. So, I get it. He wants to do better things, and he wants to go on and become a bigger star, bigger action guy. I get it. It's cool. And the Shazam kids, they're interesting. Everything with them, I wish there was more. You see that there's like this resistance happening between a bunch of the people, and I think seeing them all come together at the end to fight the war, I think that's really cool. They're not picking sides, they're picking humanity. And that's really nice. And it goes again as to why it makes sense that Thomas Wayne is here, not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne would have sided with them, but Thomas Wayne, he's gruff, he's an alcoholic, he's in a casino, runs a casino. He's going to do whatever it takes to be like the loner in that until he's forced upon by Barry. So let's talk about one of the important characters in this movie. He's not in it a lot, but Professor Zoom, Eobard Thawne, I think he is the anti-Flash. He really is. He's everything that the Flash could have become, everything that Barry would have become if he wasn't so lighthearted and nice. And it's a really good counterbalance between the two of them, I think. And you see, when he has Barry at the end of the movie, and they're looking at the destruction of the world, and he tells Barry, I'm the bad guy. This is what you caused. You didn't try to save... You didn't try to keep Hitler in school. You didn't try to save JFK. You wanted to save your mom. You were selfish. You were ignorant. You only thought of yourself, and you caused the destruction of the world. And I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy, Barry. You caused everything happening in front of you. You caused your friends to kill each other. You caused Hal Jordan to die. You caused this giant war because you were ignorant. And I think this is the moment where Barry sees, yeah, he's right. Barry is the bad guy. At the whole end of the story, the villain in Flashpoint is Barry, because he really just lost control and he wanted to see his mom. And there's nothing wrong with that. I understand why that happened, and he really wanted to see his mom. It's completely believable and completely understandable as to why he did all of his actions. So I'm going to get into the war right away, but before that I want to jump into one of the characters in this, whose portrayal I think is really, really incredible, really interesting, and it's a really downright interesting take on the character. We've talked about everybody else in the Justice League for a little bit, but we haven't talked about the main man himself, Superman. I'm a fan of Superman. I am. I like him a lot. I think his portrayal in this movie is really heartbreaking, and it's really just intense to watch. Because he is captured by the government. He doesn't land in Smallville. He lands somewhere else. He's taken in by the government, and they're using him as a weapon. He's malnourished. He is scrawny. He is dehydrated. He is so broken and so just uncontrollably sad to watch. I think that just flipped it on its head for Superman. The same way Thomas Wayne becoming Batman just flipped it on its head for that. We've seen Superman be the big boy scout who is so nice, so believable. He's just like, look at me, I'm Superman, up and away and all that. But in here, he's broken. He is on the verge of dying, and he's skinny, and he has never interacted with people who weren't using him for something. So the moment you see Thomas Wayne, Cyborg, and the Flash come in there to save him, he's just broken down. And he's a nice guy. He's still Superman. He's still got the Superman qualities where he wants to help people. But when he can't control his eyes at the end, when they escape, and he blasts all those people's heads off and they die, it's like, wow, this Superman is more uncontrollable than we thought, and he is broken. And at the end, in the war, he comes back to save Cyborg, only to see Cyborg die. It's really tough. It's so much happening here, and I think Clark Kent in this position, the way he is now, he's not even Clark Kent, he's just a guy. Crazy baby that they found in a thing. That's all he is now, he's just a crazy baby that they found in a thing. So now we get to the war. Here's Themyscira, here's Atlantis, they're coming to their last moments. We are on the verge of death between everybody we just seen get flipped around into these new characters that we haven't seen before. Everybody's killing each other. Everybody's dying. You see Aquaman get his arm cut off by Superman. You see Aquaman stab at Cyborg, rip out his heart. You see it exposed there. All this stuff is happening. Everyone is dying. You see Grifter get arrows to the head. You see everybody that you've seen just previously in the movie, they're getting killed. Wonder Woman's choking out Shazam kids left and right. It's violent. There's mayhem. And you see Flash. He's trying to be the hero and take out the Amazons and the Atlanteans. But he caused all this. And when he finds Zoom is still in the world, he wants to go find Zoom. But there's so much death happening. And you see everyone is dying. Everybody that we've known and loved, we've grown up with. And this is what happened when you try to save your mom. This is why you don't go into the past to try to do something heroic or any of that jargon. You just gotta be the hero. And there's always going to be pain. No matter what happens in life, you're going to have pain. You have to accept it and live with it, no matter what the outcome is. And I get Barry, he wants to save his mom. And one big, brash, ignorant thing he did, he goes back to save his mom, and he caused the destruction of the world. And something we haven't gotten to yet, that I will get to now, we see Captain Atom is being controlled by the Atlanteans, and in a final attempt to rid the world of everything, Aquaman unleashes hell on them with with Captain Atom's abilities. And I'm not too sure what his abilities really are. I don't know a lot about Captain Atom. I know enough to say, that guy's crazy. I know he was originally intended to be the Dr. Manhattan character in Watchmen, so that gives me a pretty good understanding of what his power base is and what his characteristics are as a being. And when, I think it was Vulko, he tries to let him go before something bad happens, because Vulko, we've seen the character be bad before, we've seen him do things, but Vulko in this, he's like, I'm not going to let them kill you, dude. There's so much more happening here in the war. You don't deserve to be in this pain, you don't deserve to die, but Aquaman unleashes hell before that. And here we go. Here comes the end of the world. And we see, right before this happens, we get the wonderful scene of Zoom and Flash that I talked about earlier, and right after that happens, you see, boom, there's a shot fired. You're wondering, what the hell just happened? What is that? Thomas Wayne shoots him in the head. Batman just used a gun, shot Eobard in the head, and he knows the Flash can fix this entire world. He can fix everything. He just has to outrun, literally, destruction itself. So at the beginning, when we go to the beginning of the movie where the Flash comes in time, he meets Thomas Wayne. They're assembling this giant team of people. He's working with Cyborg, he's working with the government, working with the Resistance, and working with all these people. And finally, when they all come together in the war, we have to see the Flash outrun death itself, outrun the end of the world itself in order to save them. And before that, Eobard stabbed him in the leg. How's he going to run? But he is running. We see Wonder Woman grab Aquaman's head. She just killed him. And they're together. We see Superman flying away. We see all these things. They're all accepting death, but here's Flash. He can go fix it all. He can go save the world. He just has to run. Barry just has to run. And he does. We know he does. He runs and he saves the day. He's back with Iris, which is something I did not talk about. You see Iris with another man at the beginning of the movie, something that, shocked Barry, but he saw his mom there, so it was like, whoop-de-doo, yay, I'm happy again. But he's with Iris again. Justice League's back. Things are back to normal. Zoom's still dead, which is interesting. Really good idea to keep Zoom dead. And we get the best part of the movie. If you are a fan of Batman, if you are a fan of Thomas Wayne, this part of the movie really mattered to me the most as somebody who cares about the characters that we've just seen go through all this hell as different personas, as different people. We see Thomas Wayne hand Barry this letter saying, give this to my son. I know you know him. Please give this letter to my son. So at the end of this movie, just like in the comic book, we see the Flash handing Bruce this letter, and he's like, this is my dad's handwriting. And he reads the letter, and you just see, I love this. I love the panel in the comic. I love the way that they did it on the animated movie. It's just the tears falling down onto the letter where it says, love always, Thomas. And it's just beautiful, intense. It makes you think, yes, Bruce has been waiting to hear these words since his parents died. It's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, and it makes you feel so invested in the world and the characters in the story. And then we just have Flash run off into the sunset, being the hero. Look at me, I just saved the world from all that. And maybe I'm underplaying it. And that's how our movie ends. We have Batman tearing up, something Bruce, this hard exterior of a man who's going to look tough no matter what it is in front of all these people. He finally breaks when he gets the letter from his dad. And it is beautiful. It is a really interesting story, and it's a beautiful way it was told. So what else can I say about Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox? I will say go check out the comic book. Go check out the animated movie. If you haven't read either of them or you haven't seen the movie, go just do it. It's a really nice, interesting movie that sets up bigger things to come, and it's so nice. It's an interesting change of pace for everything we've seen in the animated world from DC. See our characters in new lights, new ways. It's violent, it's bloody. It makes you think, would our people be heroes in a different world, or would they be villains? Would they be alive? How would they act? Who would they be? And it's a really gripping story, and you're along for the ride of Barry Allen throughout the whole thing. It's a beautiful movie, it's masterful, and this is an animated movie from Warner Brothers' DC world. Better than everything we've seen in live action, in my opinion. I highly, highly recommend checking out anything related to Flashpoint. You're going to fall in love with the story, you're going to fall in love with the characters, and you're going to see just how much the world can be changed from one small event. And it makes you realize, in the end, you have to accept death, you have to accept loss, and you have to accept pain. And I think that is a brilliant story and something that should be told more often, and it's not. So let me know what you think about the Flashpoint Paradox, the comic, or the animated movie. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. And until next time, let me know what you want to hear on Film Discussion. I'll try to do some more of these. Yeah, good luck.